Recording.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Start with the prayers.
Good morning. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Sada
Shiva
Shiva
Samarambha
Shankaracharya
Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Asmadacharya
Asmadacharya Paryanta
Vande
Vande
Guru
Guru
Paramparam.
Paramparam
Om Sahana
Sahana
Bhavatu
Bhavatu
Sahano
Sahano
Bhunaktu
Bhunaktu
Sah
Sah
Veeryam
Veeryam
Karavavahai
Karavavahi
Tejasvinavadhetamastु
Tejasvinavadhetamastु Ma Vidvishavahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Namah Shivaya. Okay, so let us start off with where we stopped. I think we had finished the 17th verse, right? So please unmute yourself and we can chant the 18th verse. Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Bhagavanuvacha
Drupado Draupadeyascha
Drupado Draupadiyascha
Sarvashaf Prathivipate
Sarvashaktivipate
Saubhadrashka Mahabahu
Saubhadrascha Mahabahu
Shankan Dadmuf Prithak Prithaka
Thaka.
So I'm just meeting you all while we go to the words. So you can break it up as Drupadaha, Draupadreyaha, plus Cha, plus Sarvashaha, plus Prithivi Pate, and Saubhadraha, plus Cha, plus Mahabahu, plus Shankhan, plus Dadmu. Two different words, Shankhan, Dadmu, the Visarga of course, but Dadmu, Prithak, Prithak. So the correct pronunciation is Prithak, Prithak, because there is a halant over there. But when we chant, we make it Prithak, Prithak for convenience's sake. Now look at the words. Drupadaha. Drupadaha is the king. Drupadaha. Draupadeyaha. So Draupadeyaha means the sons of Draupadi. Cha. So Drupad, Cha, Drupad and Draupadeyaha, the sons of Draupadi. Sarvashaha. Sarvasha means everywhere, on all the sides. Then Prithivi Pate, O king, is addressing the king. Prithivi Pate. So Prithivi Pate is Prithivyaha Pati, the lord of the Prithivi. And symbolically saying, O king, who is the lord of everything that he sees. Literally, of course, not true. But anyway. Then Saubhadraha. Saubhadraha is the son of Subhadra. Saubhadraha means son of Subhadra. So these sort of, interpretations or words are very, very beautiful. It indicates that the person is a son and automatically brings his mother also into it. So Saubhadra, son of Subhadra. And Mahabahu. Mahabahu is a person who is got very strong arms, mighty arms. So Mahabahu. Bahu is arms. Shankan. Shankhan is conches. Dadmu. Dadmu means he blew the conches. Prithak. Prithak means separately they blew the conches. So what does it mean? It means these people who all all the people referred to in the last verse also. So if you look at both the verses together, and I said last time that we have actually studied both the verses together. So it means, Hey Prithvi Pate, O king, the king of Kashi, then the one who has a great bow, then Shikhandi, then Drishtadyumna, who is a great warrior, then the king of Virat, then Satyaki, then King Drupada, sons of Draupadi, and Abhimanyu, the son of Subhadra. What did they do? Sarvashah prithak prithak shankan dadmuhu. So this is the what is indicating the action. Sarvashah prithak prithak shankan dadmuhu. The last verse indicated the names of the people. The beginning of this verse also indicates the name of the people. And now he's saying all these people got together and they blew their conches individually. Prithak prithak means each person blew his individual conch. So here Kashayaha Shankam Dadmu. So Kashaya means what? The king of Kashi. Kashi Raja is called Kashayaha. And as we said last time, Parameshwasaha means the one who was a very great Ishwasa. Ishwasa is a bow. Then we say Shikhandi is a Maharataha. You know the story, of course. He was specially born to destroy Bhishma. And Drishtadyumna also blew the conch. Then Virataha is the king of Virataha. Satyakis Parajitaha, the one who was the Satyaki who has never been defeated. Then the Draupadi, Ashankhan, Prithak, Prithabat. They blew all their conches distinctly. And Sanjay is addressing whom? Prithvi Pate. So who is Prithvi Pate over here? Dhritarashtra, ruler of the earth. So on those days, we take it that the entire earth was under, and the entire Prithvi was under Dhritarashtra. Okay, so that is how it says. Now we look at verse number 19. Please unmute yourself and we will chant. Saghosho Dhatrashtraanam
Saghosho Dhartarashtraanam
not nam Dhatrashtraanam
Dhartarashtraanam
Hridayani Vyadarayat.
Hridayani Vyadarayat.
Remember that in pronunciation, in the enunciation over here, we have to, enunciate each word. Unlike in Hindi, we can't gobble up words. So every single alphabet has to be pronounced. So Vyadarayat. Nabhascha Prithvim Chaiva.
Nabhascha Prithvim Chaiva.
Tumulo Vyanunadayan.
Tumulo Vyanunadayan.
Okay. So now we look at the words. I'll just mute you all so that you're not disturbed. I would request all of you to keep your on mute. Okay. Don't unmute yourself unless you have to say something. So Sa Ghoshaha. So you can put Visarga over there. Saha Ghoshaha. Dhartru Rashtranam Hridayani Vyadarayat. Nabhascha is broken into Nabha, that is Nabha plus the Visarga, Cha. Prithvim, a long E, Lamba E. Prithvim, Cha Eva, Tumulaha, Vyanu Na Dayan. Again, it's not Dayana, it is Dayan because the Halant is there. So I hope you all know the difference when the Halant comes. In the Hindi alphabet, Na is pronounced as Na. It's pronounced as Na. Sorry, Na is pronounced as Na. But that Na in Sanskrit becomes Na. And if you want to shorten the thing like Na, then you have to put the Halant, that small little line below the Na. So Vyanu Na Dayan. So Nabaha Cha. Nabaha means Swarga, the heavens or the skies. Okay. Then Prithvim Cha Eva. So Nabaha Cha, Prithvim Cha Eva. Between heaven and earth, Vyanu Na Dayan. Vibrating sound is there. saha, that, ghoshaha, sound. And these are all descriptions, these are all visheshanam to sound. Ghoshaha, sa ghoshaha, that sound, which is what? Prithivim cha eva venunadayan, which is reverberating between the heaven and the earth. And what kind of sound? Tumulaha, very large, very big sound, terrifying sound. What happened? What did the sound do? Vyadarayat. That sound pierced. It struck. Struck what? It struck the Dhartra Rashtranam Hridayani. It struck the hearts of the Hridayani's hearts. That sound pierced the hearts of Dhartra Rashtranam. All the people who were aligned with Dhritarashtra. That sound really pierced their heart. Okay. So, what does it mean? Look at the main sentences. The main sentences are Saha Tumulaha Ghoshaha. That tremendous sound, Dhartra Rashtranam Hridayani Vyadarayat, pierced the hearts of Dhartra Rashtras. It can be taken as sons of Dhritarashtra, or also all the people who are on the side of Dhritarashtra. And then there is a description of that Ghoshaha. That Ghoshaha is a sound. What is that Ghoshaha? Nabaha cha prithivim eva venunadayan. It is vibrating between the sky and the earth. So all the Pandavas, they blew their instruments, and the huge noise, that sound of the conches being blown and the various other instruments being blown, fell on the ears of Duryodhana and his allies, all the people who were aligned with him, and the hearts were pierced. So Vyadarata literally means broken into pieces by piercing it. So which means what? Duryodhana was already frightened by seeing the army of the Pandavas. His fear now became much more. And of course, though his army was bigger, as we already said, we say that his fear increased because of the fact that he was not on the side of Dharma. So this is what is meant. It pierced the heart of the Kauravas. It doesn't need much of explanation. It's a very small little verse. Okay. Sorry.
Raviji, Venunadayan, what does that mean?
It's vibrating, reverberating.
Okay.
Reverberating between the earth and the, which actually means filled up. It filled up all the space between the earth and the sky, or earth and heaven. So very picturesque way of saying that the sound was so loud, it could be heard everywhere. Okay, now look at the 20th verse. Now just before we chant, just notice that while chanting, this verse is put together with Rishikesham Tada Vakyam Idama Mahipate. Okay, but so it's taken that these three lines are one verse, and the next verse is starting with Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. But essentially there are 2-line verses, but we'll chant it accordingly. So please unmute yourself and we will chant. अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा
अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा
धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते अनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदमाह महीपते. So, athaha, Then when all the sounds had been made and the Pandavas were frightened because the sounds pierced their heart, Vyavasthitan. Vyavasthitan is people who are assembled from Vyavastha. Vyavastha means an assembly or a arrangement. So Vyavasthitan, assembled people, Drishtva, having seen. Who are they? Dhatrashtraan, the sons of Dhatrashtra are there. And who is seeing them? Kapidhvajaha. It's a very interesting word. Kapidhvajaha. Dhvajaha means flag or banner. Kapi means what? It's a Hindi word.
Monkey.
Monkey.
Bandar.
So Kapidhvajaha means what?
The one with the
Hanumanji.
The one with the monkey in his banner as a flag. The one with the monkey as the flag. And this is a reference to what? That on top of Arjuna's chariot, Hanuman was sitting. So there is a story, about this. That when Bhimsen went into the forest, to collect something, he saw this big monkey sleeping over there, and the tail was across the path. It was going completely across the path. So in our culture, of course, all of us still follow, at least most of us follow, we don't step over the body or the leg or anything of any other person. Why? We may not step on it, but we don't step over it also. So if somebody is lying down and he is what they call, his legs are crossing your way, what do you say? You say, please move your legs. Even though it is simpler for you to just jump over, you will still say, please move your legs. Why do you do that?
It's believed that it will harm the person's life.
अपमान ना हो इसलिए.
It's not it's an apman, basically, because that person is also Ishvara. So that is the basis, that you don't step over Ishvara. And everybody is Ishvara, therefore you don't step over. So accordingly, Bhimsen didn't want to step over. So he asked the monkey very politely, please move your tail. And the monkey said, I am very tired. So why don't you just move my tail and you can go and then you can put the tail back. So Bhimsen thought it was a very, reasonable thing to do. So he tried to lift the tail. And try as he might, the tail would not move. He just could not lift it. So then later he realized that this was no ordinary monkey. And therefore he prayed to the monkey and said that, please tell me who you are. So what is the relationship between Hanuman and Bhimsen?
Pavan Putra. Both Pavan Putra.
Both Pavan Putra.
So therefore, Hanuman is the bigger brother of Bhimsen. So pleased with Bhim's attitude, Hanuman said, I will give you a vow. I will give you a boon. And he said, when you are battling, I will be on the, with the Pandavas. And because Krishna was there on the battlefield, Hanuman chose to appear on the chariot of Arjuna. So that is the story. So that is why it's called Kapidhvajaha. Basically meaning that this Arjuna's chariot had this Hanuman as the in the flag, basically protected by Hanuman. So then Kapidhvajaha pravritte means ready, Shastra Sampate for the battle, and Dhanuhu Udhyamya. Dhanu means the bow, Udhyama means having lifted up. Pandava is Arjuna. Okay, so now look at the words, the sentences actually. He Mahipate, O king. Tada, then, Pandavaha Rishikesham idam vakyam aha. Tada, Arjuna, Pandavaha, idam vakyam, these words, Rishikesham. So Rishikesham is Dvitiya Vibhakti.
Krishna.
it is Krishna.
Krishna.
Rishikesham is Krishna, and it is in second vibhakti, that is second case. So it means that Arjuna spoke to Krishna. So tada Pandavaha Rishikesham idam vakyam aha. Arjuna told Krishna the following words. What are they? Before that, this is the main sentence. Before that, there are some qualifying sentences leading up to this story. What are those? Athaha, then. So this then has to be correlated to the, so this is the way we need to interpret, we can simply read it athaha, then what? But then means when? All those questions you need to ask. That is the proper study of Shastra. Athaha means no word in the Shastram is there without a meaning. And therefore, Athaha means after. After what? You connect to the previous verses. And what were there in the previous verses? After the conches were blown. So Athaha means after having blown the conches. Kapidvaja, Arjuna. Kapidvaja, remember that? This is another grammar point. I am not stretching too much on grammar, but little things we need to know. Kapidvaja normally means the monkey flag. Now, if you put a visarga on that, as you can see, Kapidvajaha it will be. When you break up the sentence, it becomes Kapidvajaha. So, a visarga comes over there. In fact, in the verse itself, you will see that Kapidvajaha is there. So, the visarga indicates that it is Prathama Vibhakti, the first case, which is the subject. And therefore, Kapidvajaha here means the person who has the subject, who has a Kapidvaja, who has a flag with the monkey. So who is that person? That person is Arjuna, isn't it? Arjuna's chariot has the flag with the monkey, and therefore Kapidvaja is the monkey flag. But the moment you put a visarga, you make it Prathama Vibhakti, and therefore whenever you say Kapidvajaha, it means Arjuna, the person who had the chariot with the monkey flag. So Atha Kapidvajaha, after having blown the conches, Kapidvajaha, Arjuna, Drishtva, he saw. What did he see? Dhartra Rashtran Vyavasthitan. He saw the arrangement made by the sons of Dhritarashtra. What is the arrangement? The arrangement is the battle formation. Okay, that is the first supporting statement. And again, second supporting statement, when did he see all these things? Shastra Sampate Privrate Sati, Dhanuhu Udyamya. So, Sati, when Shastra Sampate Privrate, when the battle is starting. Privrate here means to start. So, when the battle is starting, Udyamya, having lifted Dhanuhu Udyamya. So, all this is the preliminary to Arjuna saying something. So, the conches were blown, and then Arjuna saw the assembly, the battle formation of the Kauravas, and the battle was about to start, and then he lifted his bow, Dhanu Udyamya. Having lifted the bow, then Tada Pandavaha Rishikesham Idam Vakyam. Then Pandava, then Arjuna, he spoke to Krishna. Okay. Now you might wonder why this 20th verse has been broken into that in that funny way, with three, because it's not in the meter. But this is to indicate that up to this verse, up to this line, Rishikesham tada vakyam idamaha mahipate. Arjuna speaking to Krishna, it is one phase of the battle. And what is that phase? Arjuna was getting ready, right? Up till this time, what is the situation? Now let's just summarize situation. Kauravas have blown the conches. Pandavas have blown the conches, which means that both the armies have indicated that they are ready for battle. What is the next step? The battle must start, right? The arrows and bows and other weapons have to be discharged. And that is why Vyasacharya says, Shastra Sampate Pravritte. The release, the usage of the weapons were about to start. And then we have to understand that because Atha, there's the word Atha. Again, the Atha can be interpreted by saying this is actually a turning point in the whole battle. Because until this point, Arjuna has no doubts that he has to fight. He is ready to fight. In fact, all the years of being humiliated in the palace, and then when people trying to take the lives of the Pandavas in the forest, all the deception which the Pandavas were subjected to by the Kauravas, all this has built up the anger. So until this time, he is absolutely ready to fight. And therefore, what happens? Battle does not start as yet. Okay? Because instead of telling that, okay, let us start, Vyasacharya says what? Dhartarashtran drishtva vyavasthita. Arjuna saw all the Kauravas. And really speaking, as I said in the very beginning only, the Kaurava family and the Pandava family, they are not different. They all basically are Kauravas. Arjuna himself is part of the Kuru Vamsha. So both Pandavas and Duryodhana people, they both belong to the Kuru family, and therefore Kaurava can be taken as a common name for Pandavas also. But by convention, because of the way that the battle turned out, we are saying Kauravas represents Duryodhana's people. And now Arjuna has come here, and then he is saying, and remember one more thing I forgot to tell you, that when Bhimsen was told by Hanuman, that I will be there on your flag as an emblem on your flag and I will bless you. Basically, there was a very great opportunity that Hanuman took. What was that? That Hanuman got an opportunity to listen to the Bhagavad Gita because he was there on the chariot where Krishna was talking to Arjuna. And therefore, interestingly, there is a commentary on the Gita by Anjaneya. Anjaneya is Hanuman. That commentary is called Pishacha Bhashyam. Not very popular, but this is just by the way. Okay, anyway, coming back to our story. So Arjuna saw this whole arrangement. When did he see Dhanu Udyamya? He had raised his bow and he was ready for battle. And then he said to what do you call King Dhritarashtra. Sorry, he said to Krishna. What did he say? That will come in the next one. So up to Rishikesham Tadavakyam Idamaha Mahipati. This says that
Sir, Mahipate
is the king. King of the, Mahipati means Mahi is Prithvi, Pati is the Lord. So another word for king of the earth, or Prithvipate, same thing. Okay. Now he says Idamaha is about to talk. Is Mahipati, remember, what is the significance of this Mahipate in this verse?
Krishna.
Sorry?
He's talking to Krishna. He's addressing Krishna, so Lord of the earth.
No, that's the confusion. This Mahipate is being addressed to whom by whom?
Arjun is addressing Krishna.
Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra.
Sanjay to
Absolutely.
Dhritarashtra.
Remember that is why you need to be very careful when you read. This Mahipate is the address by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. Okay, and Sanjaya is saying these things. Atha vyavastithan drishtva dhatarashtran kapidvajaha. All this is being narrated by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. Don't forget that. Krishna is not addressed as Mahipate. Mahipate is to indicate that this is part of the conversation between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya. Okay? Right. Now let us look at the 21st verse, which has only one line. So we will chant it out. Please unmute yourself and we can chant that. Arjuna Uvacha
अर्जुन
उवाच
सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
तेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये
रथं स्थापयमेच्युत
रथं स्थापयाम्युत
Okay, so Arjuna says, Arjuna uvacha. Uvacha means say. Says what? Senayoho. So if you want to break that up, Senayoho ubhayoho. So you have to drop the ra. The ra is sandhi joiner. Similarly, ubhayor, that also to drop. So Senayoho ubhayoho. How do you write it? Senayo visarga. Ubayoho ubayo visarga. Senayoho ubayoho madhye ratham sthapaya me, the avagraha, that S sign is dropped. And then what will that word become?
अच्युत
Me achyuta. So senayoho ubayoho madhye ratham sthapaya me achyuta. So Arjuna said, Senayoho ubayoho. Now, without going too much into details, Sanskrit has how many, like in English we have single and plural. In Hindi also we have ekavachanam, bahuvachanam. But in Sanskrit there are three.
यस एक द्विवचन एंड बहुवचन
Ekavachanam, dvivachanam and bahuvachanam. Dvi means, so unlike Hindi and English, Sanskrit uses a different tense, vachanam, for referring to two things. So senayoho means automatically there are two things, two senas. So two senas are Pandava Sena, Kaurava Sena. And ubhayoho, that again part of Sanskrit grammar, that verb has to correspond with the noun. Therefore, senayoho ubhayoho madhye, between the two armies. Ubhayo means both. So senayoho ubhayoho, between both the armies, madhye, in the middle, ratham sthapaya, this chariot please take and keep. Me achyuta, hey Krishna, oh my Krishna, please take this chariot in between. And the me is what? Me ratham. You have to connect accordingly. It is connected to me achyuta. So don't think of it as my Krishna. You have to connect it to me ratham. So it is, oh Krishna, please place my chariot in the middle of both the armies. And therefore you should rewrite this whole sentence as hey achyuta sthapaya, or rather me ratham sthapaya senoyoho ubhayo madhye. That is the sentence formation. Please go and put my chariot in the middle of both the armies. And why should he put the chariot in the middle of both the armies? That he says in the next verse, which we will chant. So please unmute yourself. Yavadeta niriksheham yodhukamanavasthitan
योद्धुकामानवस्थान्
karmaya sahayodhavyam
या सह योद्धव्यम्
kairmaya sahayodhavyam
कर्मया सह योद्धव्यम्
asmin rana samudhyame.
अस्मिन् रणसमुद्रे
Okay. Now look at it again. So you have to understand these words correctly. Yavadetan is to be broken up into yavat plus etan. Yavat plus etan. Then nirikshe aham. So nirikshe ham, drop the avagraha. Nirikshe aham. and yodhu kaman avasthitan. Then kairmaya is broken into kai with a visarga. So kai, the ra is dropped because it is this joiner. So kaihi maya saha yodavyam asmin. So asmin, na has a halant. Asmin rana samudhyame. So yavat. Yavat has to be connected to the previous sentence where he says ratham sthapaya, me ratham sthapaya he achyuta. So yavat is so that. He is giving the reason. He said, please put my chariot in between the two armies. Yavat, so that. That is the reason. Etan, these. These what? These people who are my opponents, who are arranged in battle in front of me. Nirikshe. So nirikshe is to examine, to understand. Nirikshe, aham nirikshe, etan aham nirikshe. So that I can examine who yodhu kama, those people who are desiring to fight. So kama is a desire, very nice way of. So one of the things which I want to tell you is that in Sanskrit, no word is without a derivation. And therefore, if you learn to look at all these words and to see how they are derived, Sanskrit becomes much more interesting for us. So yodhu kama, yodh ka kaam jo rakhta hai, the one who is got a desire for fighting. Yodhu ka kama. And this yodhu kama is visheshanam. To what?
क्या विभक्ति
अवस्थितान
To
कौरव युद्ध की कामना रखते हैं.
no, but it's a visheshanam. Visheshanam means adjective. It's adjective.
अवस्थितान
No, to etan. These. He's saying these direkshi. I want to examine these people who are what? Desiring to fight. And avasthitan is also visheshanam because they are standing. Right? All these are descriptions of these armies who are standing in front of him. Then he says kaihi. Kaihi means with whom. Plural case. With whom? Maya saha. Maya is by me. Saha is with. So kaihi saha, with whom? Maya yodhavyam. Battle has to be done by me. Yodhavyam is future tense. So battle will be done by me. And where asmin, in this rana samudhyame, in this battle. Samudhyam is the starting of the battle. Rana is the battle. Rana samudhyam means the battle which is going to start right now. Okay, those are individual words. Now let's look at how the sentences can be formed. Okay. Yavan aham etan avasthitan yodhu kama nirikshe. So yavat. So that aham, I, nirikshe, can examine etan yodhu kaman avasthitan. These people who are standing in front of me and are desiring to fight me. Okay. And kaihi saha, with whom? Kaihi saha, with whom? Maya yodhavyam, I have to fight or I will be fighting. Asmin rana samudhyame, I will be fighting in this battle. When the battle starts. Rana samudhyame means with the onset of the battle. Asmin is this, so with whom I will be fighting when this battle starts. Okay. Is this all right the way we are explaining, or do you want shorter explanations or longer explanations?
It's being beautifully explained.
Fine. So as long as
It's
you're happy
all right,
with it.
sir.
Very nice.
Yes, yes. Yeah, very happy.
Remember, this is all the what you call very drab portion, where only a story is being presented. So don't think of it as any philosophy here. This entire chapter, only the background is being presented. And why is this background being presented here? That you will see. Okay. Now, so we will go back to the next verse, which is verse number 23. So please unmute yourself and we can chat. This is still Arjuna talking. Okay, Arjuna is speaking to Krishna. Yotsyamanavekseham
Yotsyamanavekseham
Yaetetra samagataha. So remember there's a avagraha there. So in chanting, do not say ete atra. It is etetra. When you break it up, it becomes ete atra. Okay, but in chanting, it is ya etetra samagataha.
Etetra samagataha.
Artra rashtrasya durbuddhehe.
Rashtrasya
Yuddhe priyachikirshavaha.
Yuddhe priyachikirshavaha.
Okay, so Arjuna is still talking. So he says, Yotsyamanan. So that word has to be broken up properly. Yotsyamanan avekshe aham. The first word of this first line of this sloka breaks into three different words. Yotsyamanan avekshe aham. Then ya ete atra samagataha. You drop the avagraha, so it becomes ete atra samagataha. Then dhartru rashtrasya durbuddhehe. Visarga is there. And I have said before, wherever there is a visarga, the visarga takes the pronunciation of the previous alphabet. So previous thing is what? Durbuddhe. A is the one. So durbuddhehe. Dhartru rashtrasya durbuddhehe. Yuddhe priya chikirshavaha. Priya chikirshavaha. So Yotsyamanan. Yotsyamanan means those people who are going to fight. Okay. Avekshe. I will see. Aham avekshe. I will see. And ye ete atra
Is
samagat.
Avekshe?
Avekshe means to examine. Coming from the word iksha. What is iksha?
Ichha rakna.
No. Aksha.
To break.
Aksha is the eye.
Eyes.
And therefore aveksha means to see. Using the eyes, what do you do? And in Sanskrit, aksha is also called iksha. So in therefore iksha, avekshe, I will use the eyes to see. Avekshe, aham, I will see. Ye, those who, ete, these people, atra samagataha. So put them together. Ye, ete, atra samagataha. Those people who are gathered here. For what purpose? For fighting. And dhartra rashtrasya. Asya here is the suffix indicating of. Dhartra rashtrasya of Duryodhana. Durbuddhehe, the person whose mind is durbuddhi, is distorted mind, not thinking clearly. Yuddhehe, yuddhe here is saptama vibhakti, yuddhe, in the battle. So dhartra rashtrasya of Duryodhana, yuddhe, in yuddham, in battle. Then priyachi kirshavaha. So it's got a definition. Priyam kartum ichhavaha. The one who wants to please. Priyam kartum ichhavaha is priyachi kirshavaha. Means the one who want to please. This is an adjective being applied to the people who are standing in the battlefield. So whom are they trying to please?
Dhritarashtra.
Duryodhana.
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 Okay. Duryodhana. Duryodhana. But you can say Duryodhana because he is the main person who has got on this case. So now let us look at the sentences. Arrangement of sentences. This sentence formation is a name. It's called Anvaya. Rearranging the sentences into a proper grammatic form. Okay. So aham yotsemanan avekshe. I will see those people who are wanting to fight. And the next sentence is a description of Yotsamanan. So, ye ete atra samagataha. Those people who are gathered here. Ye ete atra samagataha. Again, description of the people who are wanting to fight because they are the people who are gathered here. Right? So, this you must constantly remember what we are talking about. Then, Dhritarashtrasya durbuddhehe yuddhe priyachikirshvaha. And these people are gathered here because priyachikirshvaha. They want to please Dhritarashtrasya, the sons of Dhritarashtra, which is Duryodhana basically. And what kind of mind does Duryodhana have? Durbuddhehe. He's got a distorted mind. And where do they want to please him? By fighting in the battle. Therefore, yuddhehe. So this whole sentence, ye ete atra samagataha dhaturashtrasya durbuddhehe yuddhe priyachikirshavaha, means these people who are gathered here wanting to please Duryodhana in this battle by fighting with him on his side. And of course, he adds, this Duryodhana, the problem is what? His mind is distorted. He's got a distorted mind. Okay. Any questions so far?
Acharya ji, so avekshe is to
See,
generally look and nirikshan is to
examine,
do the examination.
analyze, yeah.
Okay.
But you should not take it with this kind of nitpicking, because what will have to be taken is that when you see, you are also
Examining.
So you just
Yeah.
both these words basically mean I want to analyze, I want to see. And analyze means what? What kind of formation? How they will they fight? All those things which you need to know before you begin battle, that he wants to see. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, now little commentary on this so far. And let me give you this verse 21 and 22 and 23, which Arjuna has been speaking about. Let us just summarize the whole thing so that we know what Arjuna is leading up to. So he says, hey Krishna, hey Achyuta. And Achyuta is a very beautiful name for Lord Krishna. Achyuta means what? The one who does not fail. The one who is infallible. And there is a very beautiful definition given by Swami Dayananda. He says that never say that Ishvara is infallible. You should not make that statement. What should you say? You should say whatever is infallible, that is Ishvara. What never fails, that is Ishvara. And that is the reference here. The one who never fails is Achyuta. So whatever he wants to do, he will accomplish. And the usage of this word Achyuta here indicates that the Pandavas knew that they would win. Why? Because Krishna was fighting on their side, and Krishna had decided that the Pandavas need to win. And that is infallibility, right? Once having decided, he will never fail. The Lord never fails. Okay. And therefore, also, if you see the story of Draupadi, then in that, Sabha, where Draupadi Vastraharanam was conducted, who all were present? Her husbands, 5 husbands were there, all very powerful. Dronacharya was there, very powerful. Bhishmacharya was there, very powerful. And yet, whom did Draupadi ask for help?
Krishna.
Krishna.
So again, it indicates the infallibility. And therefore, he is given the title Achyuta. So Achyuta means the one who is ever infinite, the one who never fails, the one who is ever liberated. So this is what it means. And that's, in this context, you should also know the difference between, because Krishna is the avatar, right? So what is the avatar? What is the difference between being born and the avatar's coming is not defined as Janma. We don't say avatar is fall. We say avatarati. Avatarati means coming down, descending down. While Janma actually means what? Falling down. So this is the difference. Janma is you are taking a birth, you are falling actually from your real nature. Why? Because you are under Maya's control. And avatarati means what? You are coming down with Maya under your control. And therefore, Manushyaha is Janma always. Avatara is avatarati always. Avatara never takes birth. He comes down out of his own ichcha,
Free will.
free will. And that is there separately also. We talk about it in another chapter. Okay. And therefore, when we are born, when the human is born, the human is actually Jiva. Jiva is actually Ishvara. But the original nature of Jiva is free. The original nature is Ishvara Swarupa only. And therefore, when you actually come, this Janma is taken as Samsara Patanam, falling into Samsara. Patanam means to fall. But when Krishna comes down, when Rama comes down, it is Avataraha, the one who does not fall, who has come down on his own. And there is another meaning of Achyuta also. Nitya Muktaha, the one who is ever free. So these two meanings are taken when he says, Hey Achyuta, addressing Krishna. Pratham Sthapaya, please place the chariot in between the two armies. For what purpose? Yavat Etat Niriksha Aham. So that I can very clearly survey and understand Avastithan Yodakaman, people who have assembled to fight with me and with whom I have to fight. And Yuddha Kartavyam Asmin Nuna Sammadhyame. In this huge venture, I have to see who I have to fight. If I have to, plan my war and be victorious, I should see all these people who are supporting the Kauravas. So let me see them. And he says, Yuddhe Priya Chi Kirshavaha. These people are wanting to please Duryodhana. Arjuna is annoyed. So he says, Durbuddhehe. That Duryodhana has got Durbuddhi only. The Adharma Buddhi. So here indicating that this is a fight between Dharma and Adharma. Right? Up to this level also, Arjuna is not seeing this as a war between, Pandavas and Kauravas. Because he's using the word Durbuddhe, it's important to understand that up to this point, where he's saying this, Yuddhe Priya Chi Kirshavaha, he's saying this is a fight between Dharma and Adharma. And therefore, who is on the other side, I am not bothered. Right? So Bhishma is a great person. Dronacharya is a great person. They have all brought me up and they are my gurus. So far, nothing in this narration indicates that Arjuna had any emotional problem. Up to now, Arjuna's intellect is in control. His emotional mind is not in control. The intellect is ruling the emotional mind. And this is an indication for all of us that as long as your intellect is in control, you will be taking correct decisions. Only when emotions and sentiments begin to become very strong and the buddhi wavers, then confusion will come. Because once very strong emotions have taken over the mind, you will find that your intellectual decision-making capacity, your capacity to analyze pros and cons, your capacity to be objective, that all goes for a toss. And that's why he says, Dhartarashtrasya Durbuddhehe. Showing here that up to here, Arjuna is working on intellect alone. And does this mean that, Vedanta says that emotions are useless? No. Because it's a very common, viewpoint among non-Vedantins that Vedantins are not emotional at all. And especially when there is a couple and one of the persons is a Vedantin and the other is not, then that is very common for the other person to think that this Vedanta has spoilt my wife or husband. He does not have any emotions. And they will say that this Vedantin, he is not bothered when somebody else suffers. Because for him, he'll say everything is Brahma Mayam, everything is Brahman Maya. So what is the problem? But this is not true. Vedantin is not a person who has no emotions. In fact, Vedanta tells you that yes, emotions are wonderful. And there is a phrase in the Gita somewhere else, Maitra Karuna Evacha. This Jnani, he is the very embodiment of compassion and friendship. But sentiments are wonderful, emotions are wonderful. But Shastram says that once each of them has their own place. You can be emotional. But after your intellect has told you that now it is okay to be emotional. You should have examined the situation, and the situation should be such that your getting emotional will not have any impact on you or the other person, and then it is fine. And therefore Shastra says emotions are wonderful. They are a great gift from this Lord, but make sure they are used at the right time, in the right place. In the wrong place, if emotions begin to become stronger, your analyzing capacity, your buddhi becomes clouded. And once the intellect is clouded, the problem is that judgments will go wrong. And as we said in the first introduction to the chapter, you will begin to see dharma as adharma, adharma as dharma. You are not going to say that emotions are bad, but Vedanta tells you that emotions have a particular place, intellectual discrimination has a particular place. Do not let emotions replace intellectual discrimination. Your emotion should not replace your intellect. That is what is being said here. That's what's indicated by the fact that he is still in control. So Arjuna is aware that the war involves violence, killing the people. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita himself, Krishna is going to stress the value of ahimsa. But something which everybody doesn't know. Gandhiji used to have a very famous phrase about ahimsa. What was that? Gandhiji had
Ahimsa Paramo Dharma.
ahimsa paramo dharma. Gandhiji used to quote that all the time, right? But what is not known is that is what is not known generally. Is that is just half the sentence, half the sloka.
Yes.
What is the other half of the sloka? Ahimsa paramo dharma, dharma himsa tathaivacha.
Yeah.
Dharma is also paramo dharma, but at a particular time. Similarly, dharma himsa tathaivacha means himsa is also dharma, similarly, but under different circumstances. And we have to remember that no value which we have can be absolute, because every value has got exceptions. So there are these universal values like ahimsa. So the universal value is called, not a particular name, utsarga. But every utsarga has got an exceptional situation called apavada. Therefore, ahimsa is a utsarga rule. But there are cases where ahimsa cannot apply. That is the apavada rule. You have to understand that. And therefore, whenever somebody tells you ahimsa paramo dharma, you used to ask him under what is the environment in which you are saying. Because just imagine, Pakistan is attacking you, and your army chief says ahimsa paramo dharma. He will not fight. What is going to happen? You will be destroyed, right? Therefore, that is why all the gods who are supposed to be what? Very embodiments of compassion. You will see that every lord, every god is shown with a weapon. Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Devi also, Subramanya also. And therefore, while they are all the very swarupa of compassion, remember that Shastra indicates, because of the weapon, Shastra indicates that misplaced compassion is not what is being talked about. Misplaced compassion is dangerous to society. a Kshatriya must be aware of the fact that for a Kshatriya, ahimsa paramo dharmaha cannot be utsarga. It cannot be a general and absolute rule. Because for the sake of protecting the country or protecting dharma, he has to punish, he has to kill. And that's why Krishna says later, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkrita. Both of them are for what purpose? Paritranaya sadhunam, for protecting the sadhus, the good people, and dushkrita vinashaya, for killing or punishing the evil people. Both these are actions for what purpose? Dharma samsthapanarthaya, for the re-establishment of dharma only. So here is pointing out that destruction for the sake of dharma is not bad. Even a Kshatriya has to take to destruction for the establishment of dharma. And up to this point, Arjuna is intensely aware of this fact. What is the fact? That his duty as a Kshatriya is to protect. In fact, the very definition of Kshatriya is Shatat Adharmat Trayate iti Kshatriyaha. Kshatriya is the one who protects society from adharmic people. Shatat Adharmat. He protects from adharmic people. And therefore, of course, Shastra says, try all the methods first. Shama, Sama, Dan, Dhama, Veda, all these should Sama, Dana, Veda, everything should be tried. But if that doesn't work, then you have to take to Dandaha. And that is why it is with this attitude until this point that Arjuna has said, Me Ratham Sthapaya He Achyuta. Please place my chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Remember, he has no doubts at all. He is all ready to fight up to this point. So this is the turning point. With this, we'll stop here for today. If you have any questions.
Can you please repeat the other line, ahimsa paramo dharma?
Sorry?
The continuation of that.
Sorry?
Please,
Dharma. Ahimsa paramo dharmaha dharma himsa tathaiva cha.
Dharma himsa.
Tathaiva cha. Tatha eva becomes tathaiva, in the same manner. So, okay. Thank you so much for your patience.
Can you also repeat the Kshatriya?
Can I repeat what? Oh, the Kshatriya.
Who is the Kshatriya?
Shatat, that is with a ksha. Shatat, adharmat, trayate. Trayate means to protect. Shata means problems. Adharma means adharma. Shatat, adharmat, trayate. Iti Kshatriyaha. The one who protects people from difficulties and from adharma. That is Kshatriya.
Okay, thank you.
Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Raviji.